What if I told you that you don't have to spend countless hours or endure sleepless night for you to ace your next coding interview? In this video, I will give you a step-by-step process that I've used and I'm sure will help you to ace your next interview. So let's get into it. Now, I think if you're already watching this video, there's no point in me telling you why you need to prep for your coding interview or why you need to understand or know about coding interviews. If you don't know about coding interviews, let me know. I can always record another video. But I guess that if you're already watching this video, you are planning on taking a coding interview very soon, or you have a coding interview coming up. Now, the first thing that I would say is that for whatever you're going to do, you need to have a structure. If you're going to learn, if you're going to ace your coding interview, you need to have a structure. And this is the structure that I want to give you. And you have to stick around to watch the structure. Another thing you need to understand is that you need to adjust this structure that I'm going to give you based on how long you have for your coding interview. For example, for some people that maybe for you that are watching this video, your coding interview is in 2 weeks, and for some other people you probably are in your penultimate year or just thinking about how to get a job and you're like, I need to start taking or prepping for my coding interview. So it really depends on how much time you have, and you need to adjust the structure that I'm going to give you to align more to your personal goals and your personal timeline. Now that we've talked about that, I'm going to go to the first thing on the structure, which is what I think a lot of people really miss out on. And I see all these posts on like Reddit or whatever, and then people are like, I spent 17 years or I spent countless number of hours, I did not sleep, and I was just on lead code, and I was just solving lead code, and I was just solving lead code. And funny thing is that I've found that some of those guys go into interviews and they still end up flopping because of this one reason, which is that they really don't understand the fundamentals of data structures and algorithm. Now, if you are just starting out, or you've even been learning, or you've been grokking lead code questions, if you don't really understand the fundamentals of data structures and algorithm, you don't know all the different data structures that we have and all the popular algorithms or all the likely algorithms that you have, I think you need to go back now and get your fundamentals ready. Now, for myself, while I was actively prepping for coding interviews, there's this platform that I use. Now, I should say that if you like video content, you could just go to YouTube and just search for like data structures and algorithm interviews. So if I show you what that is like, if I go to YouTube and I just do data structures and algorithms, and then I search, you most likely get a lot of, I probably recommend anything by FreeCodeCamp, to be honest, because it's free. Some of them are very nice. I know that I've watched maybe like 1 or 2 videos on algorithms and data structures on FreeCodeCamp. One is in JavaScript, probably 3 actually. One is in JavaScript, one is in Java, and probably one is in Python. And that's one first thing that I wanted to do. I really like this platform, which is called Programmis. It's free, right? But one thing that I really like about this platform is that it has images that explains all these concepts and all these data structures. So if you want to start, it's going to explain to you what an algorithm is, and it's going to show you examples of different algorithms, and you have data structures and types, while in algorithms, and also end notation. And I think I should emphasize on this part because I've interviewed people, and maybe because they've seen the question before, they run through the question, and sometimes when interviewers change just a part of the question, if you've crammed the question, you probably won't be able to know what the end notation, like of the time complexity of whatever algorithm that you're writing is. And I would say that really master this, understand your time and space complexity and how to calculate that, how to look at your code and break down your code into to have the correct time and space complexity. And then it goes also into different data structures and different algorithms. I would say that if you just take this, go to this platform and just take this course, I can bet you to you that you are solid when it comes to the concept of the different data structure and algorithm. And if I go to Stack, which is one thing that I was going to say, is that you have images, and I really love that. You have images and you have illustrations that tell you these are the different concepts, these are the different algorithms, these are the different methods that you can have in your stack. And just understanding this, I think, really goes a long way, because when you get into an interview, when you say a question, the first thing you want to think about is, what data structure am I going to use to solve this problem? If you can't look at the problem and think of the data structure that you're going to use to solve the problem, you're probably already going somewhere. The next thing that you then want to do is to learn the patterns. I think this one is also, every point is important, but I think you need to learn the patterns of coding interviews, because I'm going to tell you from experience, and I've interviewed for a lot of companies, big and small. There's a pattern, or there are patterns. And one thing that is really going to help you is when you go into an interview, even if you've not seen the question before, you go into an interview and you see a question, you just want to say, what's the pattern that comes to mind? If you see a question and you already say, oh, this is the pattern, it really helps you. And I'm going to also share another resource to you. There's this course that is paid, but I'm just going to give you a free version of this blog article that I just found that I think is really going to be helpful. So if you just search for this, I'll probably add the link in the description. Just check the description for the link. But if you go here, you see 20 essential coding patterns. I read through it, and I would say that I really agree to this. If you understand some of these, if you know these coding patterns and the questions that are in these coding patterns, when you go into your interview and you see the question, you're like, oh, this is how to solve it. And for the most part, you just need to change one or two things in your algorithm and you will be able to solve whatever question. You have the two-pointer. I really love this. If I'm ever going to set a coding question, it's going to be this matrix traversal, like this align question. I really love it. I really love solving it. So you have these different kind of patterns. You really need to study them, understand some of the questions that or some of the caveats, some of the edge cases that you need to know when solving some of these patterns. And really, you are already one step ahead of most other people that are doing the interview. Now, the next thing that we then need to talk about is, depending on the timeline that you have, you need to then start solving questions. And I would say that for the most part, you shouldn't just solve questions blindly. And I would say that there is this thing called, there was this thing like 7 years ago, which was called Blind 75. It's a series of questions that covers the different patterns that you see in an interview. There's this platform that I really love, and like I said, you can include easy questions, add medium questions, add questions. You can set your schedule. You say you want to prepare for 26 weeks, which is like half a year, and then you want to spend 8 hours per week. You can set all these, and what this does for you is that it's going to give you different questions. And like I said, funny thing is that the bulk of these questions are on these patterns. It's the patterns that are then streamlined to have these questions, such that if you're able to solve all these questions, you already understand some of those patterns. So you start from easy questions. Say you're just starting out, you are not doing competitive programming. If you are doing competitive programming, go ahead and start solving lead code questions blindly. But then you're solving this week one, you try to solve some question, which is quite simple: add two numbers together, and you just go through this, merge two sorted lists, value parentheses. I can begin to tell you the patterns that some of these things are: binary search, flood field, and it's just systematic. You solve these questions, you begin to find and you begin to see the patterns in some of these questions. 3-sum is an improvement on 2-sum. You probably already know. So come to Grind 75. I'll drop the link in the comment in the description. Adjust based on your availability and the time that you have, and you can order by difficulty. You can do all rounded, and it's just very interesting because you can also order by topic. So you have array questions, you have stack questions. But if you know that there's a particular data structure or there's a particular kind of algorithm that you're not very good at and you want to solve more questions on it, you can just sort or group by topics, and then you have array, you have binary tree, you have graph, and you can just begin to solve those. So this is very important. This is a very nice platform. Highly recommended. Now that we talked about that, how do you ace that next interview, which is the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, I've not even gone to Lead Code, funny enough, right? I've not even gone to Lead Code at all. So let's go to Lead Code. And this is a feature that is available for premium subscribers, but I will still give you an alternative if you're not a premium subscriber. But if you go to Lead Code and say you have a Microsoft interview coming up, there's something called company tagged question on Lead Code, and that's a very, very helpful thing. You have training companies and you can say, oh, I have an interview coming up with, say, Google, and then you click on Google, and what that does for you is that it gives you the questions that Google has asked in a couple of months. So you can set 1 year, for the most part, just set by 6 months, and then you can click on sort by frequency. And what that does is that it gives you, and I can say that if you can solve a bunch of these questions, there's a high chance that if you interview with Google, you will get one of these questions. So go and try to solve some of these questions, okay? Just go about it, see the ones that you've not solved from what you already did in grade 75 and try to solve some of these questions. You can pick that out. Another thing that you can then do if you are not a premium subscriber is that you could just go to Discuss. Discuss, a lot of people, after they've finished an interview for a company, come to Discuss and then drop the questions that they've been asked in the Google interview. So say in the interview, say I go to Google L3 interview, you find the questions that they asked the person, and you even find the answers by some people. So just go there. If you have an interview coming up for a particular company, just try to find out if somebody else has started talking about that, because I can tell you that there's a high chance, which has happened to me before. I saw a question here and I got it in an interview, and you know the rest of the story. I passed the interview. So you come here, try to do that. Also, you could just search online. There are probably things that have like company tagged questions, Lead Code. I know that there are some public repos that give you some of those kind of things. If you are not a premium subscriber, so you can just click, say, Apple. And then you can just find some of those questions and the solutions that are attached. Now, I hope that with these few things that I've said, which I will say that are the things that I've also practiced, I can assure you that you are highly placed to pass your next interview. So if you have an interview coming up and this video was helpful to you, or you watched this video and it was helpful to you and you aced your interview, come back, drop in the comments, and I would really like to read those comments. So thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye.